Hello everyone and welcome to my latest Rust Quickie. In my previous Rust Quickie I have talked about vectors, and today I want to continue that discussion by talking about so-called slices. So let's switch over to Visual Studio Code where I want to demonstrate that concept to you. So what is a slice in Rust? Imagine you define an array or a vector. I've already covered both constructs in my previous quickies, and the idea of a slice is now that you can reference with a slice parts of that array or parts of that vector. As you can see, I have defined here two slices. The first slice references the whole array, and the second slice just references the whole vector that we have defined previously. When you define a slice, you are using the ampersand sign, and without any additional information, you're just referencing in that slice the whole content of that array or that vector. Means that first slice contains all the various strings that we have defined here, and the second slice, which references the vector, just consists of all the strings that we have defined here when we have declared that vector. As you can see, I'm calling here a function called print_slice, which I have defined here, and the cool thing about that function is that that function accepts a slice as an input parameter. Means that slice can bind to values in an array or to values in a vector. It doesn't really matter, because as I have said, the slice can bind to values in an array or to values in a vector. And the slice is defined here again with the ampersand sign, and it contains just a list of individual string references. To print out the individual values from our slice, I'm using here a for loop, and again inside the for loop I'm using the print line macro. And as you can see, to be able to get the value from a reference, we have to dereference that reference with the star sign. So we are just dereferencing more or less a pointer. So let's run that code now with the cargo run command, and as you can see, we are printing out the first step the values from the array, and in the second step the values from the vector, but we have passed in those values with a slice. Of course, when you're working with slices in Rust, the slice doesn't have to reference the whole array or the whole vector. I have here 3 more function calls to the function print_slice, and we are passing in here now parts of our array or parts from our vector. As you can see here in the first function call, we are passing in parts of the array. We are starting at index 0, so at the beginning, and we are going up to the index 3, but the index 3 itself is always excluded here. So that definition 0.3 contains the index 0, 1 and 2. So only 3 values. That one which you are writing down is always excluded. In the second call, we are passing in a slice to our vector. We are starting at index 1. Index 1 in the vector would be oracle, and it's an open-ended interval defined with dot dot, means we are going up to the end. And in the third invocation, we are starting at the beginning, so index 0, and we are going up again to index 4, and index 4 is again excluded. So let's run that code, and as you can see, in the first invocation we are printing out the first 3 string values from the array, SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL. In the second invocation we are starting at Oracle, MySQL and PostgreSQL from our vector that we have defined here, and in the third invocation we're starting at the beginning of our array and we're going up to index 3. So we have here index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So that's the idea of slices in Rust. As you can see, with that function definition, it doesn't really matter if you are passing in an array or a vector. We just pass in a slice, and that slice just references parts of our array or parts of our vector. So that's the idea of slices in Rust. In my next Rust Quickie, I will talk about so-called tuples in Rust, which are also very, very important because you encounter that very, very often when you're working with Rust. So thanks for watching my Rust Quickie today, and I'm already looking forward to see you next week again. Thank you.